You're in an HR department all by yourself. But does that mean that you don't have anywhere for your career to grow? Let's talk about it. This video is all about HR departments of one who are interested in growing your career, but you're not really sure what that growth could look like. One of the biggest differences between departments that have only one HR person versus multiple HR persons is that you never really know where your career is going to go, or it's difficult to know where your career can go if you're only working in a department by yourself. If there's not another person who's already there that you can move into their role when they retire or move into that role when they move on, you think that there's nowhere for you to go. Hey, my name is Brittany Graddick, CEO and founder of Talented Teams Consulting, where I work with HR Department of One professionals to help you to grow your careers with intention. We are on day 8 of this 30-day series where I'm going to go with you over the course of 6 weeks to talk about ways to grow your HR career with intention. I'll talk about intention because it's super important that when you're doing things not only on purpose, but you're doing things with purpose. Today we're going to talk about how to grow your career when you're not really sure what to do next. You might be thinking that you're doing everything that you can do, but I'm here to let you know there might be a few things that you're overlooking. Let's talk about those things that you can do to prepare yourself for that next opportunity. Now, my experience is not necessarily typical. I started as an HR intern, but I wasn't an HR intern as an HR department of one. I worked as an HR intern and also an HR assistant before becoming an HR generalist. And I did all of that under the direction of another HR department leader. But as an HR generalist, I became an HR department of one. We're going to start as the HR generalist with this career framework. And if you have any questions, you want to know more about the differences between the HR interns, HR assistants, HR representatives, I can do another video on that to kind of dig a little bit deeper. Starting first with an HR generalist, what is an HR generalist and what is it that you're supposed to know and do? As an HR generalist, you are expected to have general knowledge of all HR topics. So when it comes to recruiting, compensation, benefits, employee relations, employee development, organizational development, typically you are hired as an HR generalist before you become an HR manager, because you typically don't hire someone as an HR manager right off the street. That's just typically how it goes. You typically work as an HR generalist for a few years, maybe 2 to 5 years even, before moving into that HR manager role. So as an HR generalist, it's really good for you to know not only the disciplines within HR, all of those topics that I just mentioned, but learn your organization. Learn your departments, learn the business functions, learn how the business makes money, learn the temperaments of your leadership team. Use that foundational time if you were not already an HR representative or an HR assistant in that organization. Use that time as an HR generalist to build your solid foundation. This is the perfect time to start to put processes in place, efficiencies in place, what we talked about in the prior video about controlling what you can control, because this is going to set the groundwork for your career to grow. At a certain point while working as an HR generalist, you're going to feel like you kind of hit a ceiling, and you're going to know that there's more for you to do. If you're interested in moving to an HR manager position, these are the things that you want to start to think about. As an HR manager, you're going to be doing the same things you were doing as an HR generalist, but to a higher degree. So as an HR generalist, you may or may not have had direct contact with the managers within your organization, the department managers, and giving them feedback on how to better serve their teams. For example, if you're fresh out of college working as an HR generalist, you might not have the lived experiences to give a manager who's been in the job for 15 years advice on how to have a crucial conversation with their employee. But once you get to the HR manager position, you should be able to give advice to those managers. What should you do in the meantime between being an HR generalist and being an HR manager if you still don't have any direct reports? Again, use that time as an HR generalist to build your skills, whether that's going back to school, whether that's getting HR certifications, whether that's going to seminars and workshops, master classes, learning how to lead people. So once you have those things in your toolkit, you'll be able to provide perspective, even if you have not had that one-on-one experience yourself. For me, I worked as an HR generalist for a few months before becoming the HR department of one by myself. So I was an HR department of one and an HR generalist, and I didn't really feel comfortable giving advice to managers, and honestly they didn't trust me to give that advice. I was just out of college. What advice could I give them? So I went to a lot of different seminars and webinars on leadership and time management and having difficult conversations. I purchased books and I purchased different things, different tools to help me to navigate those conversations. Once I was able to not only be on the job for a while and learn the managers in that way, but they were able to trust me, build relationships with me. I was able to engage with them. They were able to trust me to say, hey, Brittany, what do you think about this? So by the time I became an HR manager, I had built up that trust with them. And they could ask me questions about how would you handle this situation? How would you handle this conversation about this person? Typically, they're always on time, but now they're running late all of a sudden. Should I write them up? What should I do? And I could give them my perspective on actually what you should do is this. At that stage of your career, again, between being an HR generalist and an HR manager, especially if you don't have any leadership experience yourself, it's important for you to invest in yourself in however you can to learn how to lead others. You don't want to wait until you have a direct report to be a great leader, to learn to be a great leader. You've got to go ahead and build your toolkit first so that you can help others around you. As an HR manager, you're going to be that support to the management team to give that perspective. And that's going to also help you to make more informed decisions, be able to set precedents within your organization, and continue to build your credibility as an HR manager. Additionally, as an HR manager, you should also have direct oversight over the policies and the procedures and any new initiatives that come down the pipe that affect employees. For example, as an HR generalist, you may have just been maintaining the status quo. As an HR manager, you should be able to review and research different regulation changes that are coming down the pipe, and you should be able to have a network of people around you that you can bounce ideas off of so that when things change, you can have someone to ask questions to. Again, as an HR department of one, you're by yourself and you don't want to go through situations working in a vacuum. You've got to understand that there's people around you that can help support you. And when you reach out to those people for support, it's going to continue to build your credibility as well, because it's going to show that you have people around you that's going to support you in what you're doing. After working in that HR manager role for 3 to 5 years excellently, not just skating by and doing the bare minimum, there are other levels of HR leadership that you should ascribe to. But before we get to that, I want to remind you, if you have not already downloaded the free guide that I've created, HR Departments of One, How to Thrive, the 5 things that your HR career demands, I invite you to go down below and click that link to download it. It's going to help you to kind of put some frameworks in place to know what you need to focus on while growing your career in HR. As an HR department of one, you are technically solo, but you should never feel like you're alone. That's one of the reasons why I've created this community for HR department of one professionals, so that you can have a community around you. You can have me as your HR mentor to support you, not only as you grow your career, but also as you are supporting the teams around you. Once you've been an HR manager for a set period of time and you understand that role inside and out, you feel like you're doing a great job and you know that there's more for you to do. There are other levels of leadership that you could ascribe to, but you don't necessarily have to go directly to director or directly to VP. I would recommend making incremental changes. 1, because you get more promotions, and 2, you just have a greater career trajectory. You can see things to change in your career in a small form as opposed to going straight to the end. So once the business grows and your CEO feels that it's warranted to add another person to your team, as a senior HR manager, it would be great if you could bring in your own HR intern, your own HR assistant, your own HR representative. But to do that, you're going to have to know exactly what to offload for them, how to train them, how to effectively lead them. So again, we're going back to that HR generalist role. You cannot wait until you're at the role at the end where now I'm going to have a direct report. What do I do? You should already be prepared and prepare early, even as early as the HR generalist position, because you never know where your career is going to take you. You could take you to another organization. It could take you to growth potentials within that team. So again, even as early as HR generalist without a direct report, you should be learning how to be an effective leader, because you never know when you're going to have to give advice or when it's going to be your turn to lead. After becoming a senior HR manager, you might become the HR director or the VP of HR or the VP of people. And those are, again, executive leadership positions. At that point, you would be contributing to the senior leadership team. You would be working closely with the other VPs, the other directors, to lead change and work out those business plan initiatives, in addition to the day-to-day work that your HR job would demand. By that point, you'll likely have others on your HR team, at least one other. Again, you would know what to offload. You would know how to train. Hopefully, you will be effectively leading them so they can be successful. But the goal here is for you to be that example of what a leader in your organization would look like. You want your CEO to point to you and say, be like that person. The more that you can lead by example, the greater your career will be. The highest level of HR is the CHRO position, the Chief Human Resources Officer, typically working side by side with the CEO and other senior leaders within the organization. Typically by that point, you want to have at least 15 to 20 years of senior level experience or HR experience with a master's degree or any specialized degrees and certifications and things of that nature. But again, by that point, you will have a team, you will have things in place that you're working and process that you created and that are running efficiently. The goal of this video is to let you know that no matter where you are in HR Department of One, even though there's no one that's coming before you that you can follow behind, you can still create your own path as an HR Department of One. I've been able to do it in my career, and I help others to do the same as well. I remember working initially as an HR Department of One thinking there's no way that there are other people that are doing this too. It felt super lonely, it felt super stressful, and it felt unnecessarily hard. But once I got through it and I realized, hey, there's a way to get through this effectively without stressing myself out, without burning myself out, while still enjoying my family and enjoying my life. Now I'm in the place now with my career where I want to help others to do the same. If you are an HR Department of One and you are looking for ways to break out of that monotony, if you're on YouTube looking for videos like this one where you're wondering, okay, where else can I go with my career? I am here to help you. I invite you to book a discovery call with me to help you to ask me any questions, 30 minutes with my brain on your career, where we can talk about where you want to go next, what you've done so far, what has worked for you, what has not worked for you. Again, we only know what we know, and it's hard to be what we haven't seen. I want to be that representative, that example for you and other HR Departments of One professionals to let you know that there are options for you out there. Your career can be fruitful. Your career can be progressive. Your career can be very productive as long as you put in the work and you're working with intention. Again, the goal of this 30-day series is to help you build your career intentionally. I think it's important to do things not only on purpose, but to do things with purpose, because it's all about the people that we serve, and it's all about being able to make a difference and an impact in their lives. If there's any other questions that you have for me, drop them down below. I'll circle back and answer any questions that you have. I look forward to getting the individual comments and the emails. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.